On today's hot sheet, I'm discussing home purchase cancellations and answering your questions live. This is free format Friday, September 15th, 2023. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. All right, we have another free format Friday this week. I'm live from Palos Verdes, California. Let me know which market you are tuning in live from. The call-in number is 203-548-0417, 203-548-0417. We're going to take your calls, answer some of the questions throughout the week as well that Bobby has collected. And we've got some news here from Redfin just breaking this morning. Okay, it's about home purchase cancellations. Home purchases fell through at the highest rate in nearly a year this past August. So contracts, pending sales, escrow sales, whatever you call them in your market, when the buyer and the seller come to agreement, those are falling apart at the highest rate in nearly a year. We experienced this last year, obviously, when the rates ratcheted up at warp speed. Now those rates have been hovering around the sevens, but it's just like it's like a little bit of burnout. It just continues to hover in that 7.25 range. We've got the highest unaffordability, Redfin says, that we've ever experienced. Housing Wire reported in the last 40 years highest unaffordability. So some home buyers are just either getting cold feet or they're not qualifying for the mortgage once they go through and get that thing locked in. They then don't qualify at the current rate. So hitting the highest level in over 2 decades. Mortgage rates, obviously, prices are continuing to rise. Buyer demand and new listings have stabilized in the following months. We've got some charts here, Bobby. I'd love to share those. If you're a BAMX member, you can get all of these charts in the BAMX section, the daily download section on BAMX. Skip over the question there. We've got some of these charts that are in relation to the cancellation. So you've got pending sales there. If you go through to the next one, this is some overall data. Actually, you know what? If you can, these charts will all be available. These are good charts from the article. But if you can actually go to the article itself, Bobby, I want to go through some of the locations that are experiencing the highest cancellation rates. Okay, so that's more, I think, what everybody's concerned about. What's my location doing? So I want to run through some of those. If you go to the bottom of the article, there you go. Home purchase cancellations. We see here, if you could just go up just a touch there. All right, August 2023, pending sales that fell out of contract as a percent of overall pending sales. Okay, so let's take a look here. Anaheim was at 14.7%. Atlanta at 23.7%, but Atlanta was high in July and Atlanta was high last August. So that number kind of jumps off the screen in comparison to other cities, but it's reflective of the trend that has been that has been the last year for them. Austin at 17% or 17%, 16.9% rather. In July of 2023, so just 1 month ago, they were at 14.3%. So you see that increase, that pop happening in a place like Austin. Baltimore, 12.5% in July, up to 14%. Boston staying flat. If you look at last year, July and August, really just hovering around 10%. Charlotte, hot market, up to 11.1% off of 10.3%. Chicago, 17.2% off of 16% in July. Cincinnati is a location that's down. July, you had 13.9%. And then in August, you actually went down to 8%. Cleveland, the opposite, is up to 18% off of 15.2. Columbus was hanging out with somebody here at Realtor.com yesterday from Columbus, Ohio, 16.4% off of 15.1. Let's look for a big outlier there. If you scroll down, Dallas is at 19% of pending sales falling out of contract. Denver's at 19%. Fort Lauderdale, look at that jump. Fort Lauderdale at 23.1% off of 20%, 21% a year ago. So Fort Lauderdale now experiencing more, more of a increase in deals to fall out. Jacksonville is a big jump, 26.6% of contracts falling out off of 21.7%. Las Vegas up to almost 24% off of 21. Miami has been pretty flat here month over month, up from last year. You're going way too fast, Bobby. I love not being in my studio. Thank you, Bobby. There you go. All right. Miami, flat from last month, but up from last year. And let's look at another one that jumps out. Nashville's up to 16.2% off of 15.6. Not a huge jump there. Nassau County's up to 6.7% off of 5%. So very low numbers, but starting to creep. You can scroll down now. New York, I think New York's worth mentioning, up to 10%. New York City off of 8.8%. Orlando up to 23.1% off of 20.8%. So some of these Florida locations are seeing a significant pop. Phoenix, always want to watch what's happening in Phoenix, 18.8% off of 17.9. Portland's at 16.3 off of 14.5. Sacramento there is up 1%, 15.8%. Also was hanging out with somebody from Sacramento yesterday. Keep going down there, Bobby, if you can. San Antonio, San Diego's up a little bit, 16.8% off of 14.5. So this is a trend in most areas. San Francisco, 6.4% off of 4.8. San Jose, flat. Seattle, 10 up 1%, 10.5% to 9.5%. So there you go. Those are some of the big locations. Look at Tampa there, up 2.5%, 22.4 off of 20%. These are if you're just joining us, these are cancellations, pending sale cancellations. So homes are falling through at the highest rate in nearly a year. Interest rates have a lot to do with that. The fact that we're at the most unaffordable level ever, according to Redfin, last 40 years, according to Housing Wire, of course. Okay, so here's some other highlighted locations. Pending sales in Boise, Idaho. Pending sales fell 70.5% year over year, more than any other metro. Next came Hartford at negative 57.3%, New Haven at negative 55.8%. Very low inventory in those two locations. Only two metros saw increases: Rochester, New York. McAllen, Texas saw increases in pending sales. Closing sales in Bridgeport, closed homes dropped 26% year over year, more than any other metro analyzed. Next came Stockton, California, 25.8%. Tacoma, Washington, 25.7%. Closed sales rose in just one metro. Las Vegas, 1.4%. Fell the least in Northport, Florida, 0.1%. And Phoenix, negative 2.9%. Okay, so there's some more pending and closed data for you. We'll link that above. We'll put all the charts from that piece in the daily download. Bobby, let's take some questions from the week. If we've got any questions today that are you want to post any questions, it's free format Friday, so I'm taking your questions. Lenny says, I see this new concept of mega teams as a disruptor. Your thoughts? Lenny, I think this is, I wouldn't call it a new concept. I'd call it the reality of where we are in the market. Certainly 10 years ago, teams really started to form and take place. And over the last 5 years, they've become the needle movers in the business, so to speak. Teams across the country do a better job generating leads than brokerages, certainly much better job delivering leads. In fact, I won't name the brokerage, but I was talking to somebody at a brokerage that has about 90,000 agents. So you could narrow it down. It's an approximate number, about 90,000 agents. All right. Anyways, I was just having a conversation at lunch the other day here, and she's here representing the brokerage, and they generate leads, but they've never generated leads, and they don't pay for leads. So she just is starting the program, and she was very pleased to say that per month she's generating 2,100 leads for the company. Well, it's 90-something thousand agents. Most of the team leaders here are generating about 1,000 leads a month for 50 agents. I can speak to the team that I own in Connecticut. We're generating anywhere between 600 and 800 leads a month for 45 agents. So 2,100 for 95,000 agents. It's just not a lot. And coming from the brokerage perspective, they don't buy leads. They say, anyways, and then they're just starting this program. They're very proud of that number. Most team leaders would laugh at that. that number. And so teams have just been very, very sophisticated in how they generate leads, how they track those leads, how they hold agents accountable. And that's one of the reasons brokerages don't want to generate leads, to be quite honest, is their inability to hold agents accountable. So teams are just getting more out of the agent and per agent productivity. You can look at team agent this is on the whole. This isn't, this is just the averages. Per agent productivity on a team outweighs the brokerages in almost every single market. So what's going to be the next disruptor? I think teams are have solidified their space there, and what would be the next disruptor? That'd be up for debate. Love to see your thoughts in the comments. All right. Do we have another question, Bobby? What's the best way to market to baby boomers in your database? First, number one, identify who they are. Okay, so you can use PropStream or some other data tool to kind of mine out that data of who are the baby boomers, so that I know exactly who they are, and then I would, whether it's a mail campaign, I don't know what the price point is in your market. Mail makes sense in a higher price point, where it might not make sense in another high price point, where it might make sense in gated community versus not. I would be really thoughtful about what type of, if I'm doing mail, for example, what type of campaigns I'm delivering to them. Like my community in Florida, for example, I get 15 pieces of mail. I'm not a boomer, but I get 15 pieces of mail. 14 of them I throw out. I only keep the one that lists all the sales, the pending sales, and the closed in the community every single month. Everything else just goes away. So like your justice listed, just closed, whatever all that crap is, that's not going to work really for any generation, but certainly not boomer. So I'd make something that's particular to the way they're going to engage whatever community you're in. Boomers, if something of value, they will put it in the draw. Okay, they will save it, and that's what you're trying to create, something that they'll save. But mostly you've got to identify the list. Okay, who are they, so that I can have an email campaign catered to them and their interests with where they're at in life, dependent on the market. A segmented email list, a segmented mail list, so that I can create more. And then I would absolutely create events around their interests. Maybe a little 6 couples wine tasting or something like that, depending on the community. All that's going to matter. But have it starts with having a really clean list of who those are, because then your campaigns are going to be much more impactful. I hope that was helpful, Jeff. Dawn, just saw Connecticut new cold calling laws. Will this significantly impact the real estate business model in Connecticut? In Connecticut specifically, no, because nobody cold calls. So I don't think that'll impact the real estate business model at all, quite frankly. No, I just don't. I think nobody's willing to make the calls. And you want to listen, when we're talking about teams with the first question, you want to generate a lot of opt-in leads where people have decided to give the phone number and the email and the contact information for something of value. Okay, now you have the permission to follow up. And so that's what teams have figured out. It's like, let me get permission to speak to you, the customer, through email and through phone number. And that's where, you're not going to get in trouble with some of the cold calling things. By the way, for those that do want to cold call in your market, it's still very effective. I know we have a Vulcan 7 link, Bobby. I don't know if you could put that into the chat. If anybody's thinking about making some calls or taking, like I see a comment in here, somebody just got PropStream. Congratulations. It is a fantastic tool. It's Taylor from the Florida Keys. You could take your PropStream data, dump it into a tool like Vulcan 7. I know that we have an offer for Vulcan 7. It's what we use in Connecticut. So we can put that link into the chat. Should be in the description, but put it into the chat, Bobby, as well, the Vulcan 7 link. I see Jeremy Knight trolling me here. Are you scared Jeremy Knight will take over the hot sheet? Let me know in the comments if you want more of Jeremy Knight on the hot sheet. I told him he wasn't allowed to wear a real T-shirt, but I don't think he listened. So let me know if you want more of Jeremy Knight on the hot sheet. All right. All right. Here's a question from earlier in the week. It looks like thoughts on the Wall Street Journal article on Rome and assumable mortgages. How will it affect the industry? Will it be an opportunity for agents to become one of Rome's preferred partners? Interesting enough, I saw this Wall Street Journal article during the week as well, and I clipped out. So Bobby, our producer here, who produces the hot sheet, Bobby's looking for homes right now, and so he comes into. I was up in Connecticut in the office last week, or maybe it was the beginning of this week. So I don't know. I've been on a lot of travel. Days are kind of blending together, but Bobby says to me, "Hey, look at this listing. It's got an assumable mortgage. So this seems so good. It's a 3. I don't know what it was, 3%, 2.75%. Like, well, why wouldn't this be the best deal of all time?" And so before this article even dropped, I was like, well, a lot of times it's just, you know, it's good for marketing, but it's not really going to work out once the seller finds out how long these take. And, especially in this market, if they have other options, why are they going to want to wait just to help you, the buyer, out? If they can still net more money with another buyer, be thinking, for those of us that were in the business when short sales were around, be thinking the length of time on short sales. And then this Wall Street Journal article comes out. And so I just clipped basically summarizing what I was saying to him. Like, the banks just aren't that interested in doing these deals. So I clipped out this part of the article. In theory, the idea sounds great, right? And that's what Bobby's coming in. He's like, whoa, assumable mortgage. This sounds fantastic. Is this some hidden gem? At least for discouraged house hunters who can inherit a lower rate loan. So, that's what he is. He's like, I want a lower rate loan. Everything's very expensive. I would love this deal. But sellers, in turn, also might fetch a higher prices. So it's like, okay, well, everybody's winning. This is fantastic. But ROAM's vision faces an uphill battle. Loan assumptions haven't gained much traction recently, even though rates are up. Many lenders are cool to the idea because for them, it would mean more work for less money. Okay, so lenders don't want to do more work on an assumable mortgage for less money. They're not making a new loan. They're not doing a new deal. They're not generating, the money that they would if this buyer just went out and got a 7.5% mortgage rate. So it's just not that lucrative for the banks to play ball. They make it very difficult. Some 22% of active mortgages are part of the government programs that have assumption features. So you got about 1 out of 5 loans that have an assumption feature, according to the mortgage data technology Black Knight. That includes loans extended through the Department of Veterans Affairs and the FHA programs. Few consumers know about that option, and fewer will follow through with it. FHA has processed 3,349 assumptions in the fiscal year that ends September 30th, up from 2,566 in the year prior. So it's up about 800 assumptions, but these are very small numbers, okay? 3,400 assumptions when we're going to do 4 to 4.5 million transactions in that 12-month period. It's putrid. It's not even a relevant number. They take a long time. So either the seller gets frustrated, bounces out, the bank just keeps kicking. The buyer maybe can get frustrated in those times. For those that have done short sales, let me know in the comments, how many times did everybody get frustrated on how long the process is taking? It's like, why is this taking so long? When short sales were around in 11, 12, 13, 14, they would just take forever. But buyers really wanted them. So buyers would hang in there. They'd be hanging in there for the deal. And then the deal, a lot of times, it could take up to a year if you didn't know what the heck you were doing, if you didn't have the right attorneys on the deal. Okay, so Rome has 10 employees. They received 1.25 million in seed funding. With 10 employees, that's not a lot of money. You'll burn through that pretty quickly. Led by venture capital firm Founders Fund, Eric Wu, who co-founded Open Door. So knowing that he's involved, there's more money, coming down the pike, I'm sure. Also, former Fannie Mae CEO who briefly ran Silicon Valley Bank. Way to go! After it failed as an advisor, the startup could run up against a um, world of mortgage banking, uh, where the assumption mortgages are still often transmitted by fax machine. Wow. Lenders sometimes drag their feet in processing assumptions because they earn only a few $100s for processing them. Yeah, that's just not gonna it's not gonna be easy to do. Um, for loan assumptions to become popular, lenders will need to be allowed to earn more on them, is what they're believing here. There's not much you can do if the lenders aren't going to be able to efficiently process assumptions. So maybe this startup is going to try to figure out a way where lenders can earn more money. Maybe it would be advantageous. Bobby, you can put up the slide too on how many mortgages here per interest rate. So there's a lot of opportunity for this. We'll have this slide available in the daily download on BAMX. BAMX members get access to all of our hot sheet slides. You can use code HOT to get 10% off of your BAMX membership. So here you go, distribution of all mortgage interest rates. Look at that. So the amount of loans that are in 5% or less is staggering. And then anything above 6%, there's not that many loans. So there's a lot of opportunity for new buyers. It's like, yeah, I want to trade into 3 or 3.5 or 2.5. So a lot of opportunities for buyers there. We got any other questions? And of course, you can call in the show here before we get a wrap up. Call in numbers 203-548-0417, 203-548-0417. It's I think it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen as well. You got 203-548-0417. Free format Friday. Love to take a call here before we have to sign off. Austin, homes for sale. What do you think will happen when that unemployment rate hits what the Fed wants? Well, the Fed is saying the right thing, that they don't want unemployment to shoot up, really fast or by a lot, but they are celebrating the fact that it is ticking up a little bit because it's one of the few tools that they have to make their job easier. I think when unemployment's where the Fed wants and inflation is where the Fed wants, they're going to ultimately start cutting rates. That's what history has shown us. Eventually that's what will be the next move. I think before we get to cutting, we're going to be on just holding firm with where we're at. You'll see higher rates for longer, but eventually when they get all these numbers to where they want them, Austin, they're going to start cutting again and start pumping up the economy. That'll be for sure. I was listening to Danielle Hale, chief economist of Realtor.com, who's going to be coming on App Knowledge Brokers podcast in the coming weeks. She's talking about 2024 being a really difficult year for the economy. Similar to this year, she did allude to maybe even more difficulty in the economy. So, we'll see what happens, but eventually the Fed is going to get numbers to where they can so that they can start cutting the rates. Chris has a question about BAMX. I see, Bobby, if you can post that. Can we get all the daily slides put into a library on BAMX so we can quickly download them without having to open each episode? So that's on the way. Bobby, get rid of this slide that I'm looking at here. There you go. Post Chris's question. If you could, there you go. Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby's doing a great job back there. I don't know if he was listening before. Chris, that is coming. That's on the way. And I don't know, Bobby, if you could put in the chat when that will be happen. I see that with the developer on the back end there, he was saying it was almost done this week. So I'm also, Chris, looking forward to this happening on BAMX. We're making improvements every single week. BAMX is the best community in real estate. We're going to continue to make improvements in it. We feel like agents have been ripped off by legacy media companies for far too long. That's why BAMX is basically coffee money. It's the lowest price it'll ever be right now. You can get 10% off by using code HOT. We're going to keep reinvesting the dollars that we're making on that to keep making it better and to keep bringing value to the industry, like next week, where I finally get to spend the whole week in Naples, Florida, when we're hosting BAM Camp on Wednesday. There's still a couple of opportunities left. I think on Monday, we'll definitely be announcing that there are no opportunities left to get to BAM Camp. So if you want to come to that, BAMX members actually get 25% off. It's going to be Wednesday in Naples. We have a VIP experience the day before. There's still 2 of those spots available as well. So if you want to join us at BAM Camp, there's a link down below. Again, BAMX members, you can use your opportunity to get 25% off of that. And then if you're on the West Coast and you're just not going to be able to make BAM Camp, I highly suggest the week after, September 25th to the 28th, that you hit up FubCon. I continue, everybody here, there's about 70 of us here at Realtor.com. I continue to hear everybody raving about FubCon. They're like, dude, you've got to go to FubCon. 6 keynotes, 5 hands-on breakouts, 35 plus speakers, 0 filler. They do a band, they do an enormous party. It's in LA. It's September 25th to the 28th, and you get 30% off by being a BAMmer. BAM_VIP30, BAM_VIP30 gets you 30% off your first ticket, then 55% off of each additional ticket. FubCon 2023, Follow Up Boss's big event. I'm hearing nobody spends more money on their event than Follow Up Boss. The thing is going to be incredible. Chris, you're right there in Vegas. Maybe you'll be over at FubCon. I think the broke agent will be hanging out there as well. Bobby, any final questions here as we wrap up the free format Friday? We'll have a Knowledge Brokers podcast later today over on that channel. Myself, Lisa, and Tom are about to record that. That'll be at Knowledge Brokers podcast. I think that'll be up around 2:00 Eastern time today. Bobby, any final questions we missed here as we wrap up the hot sheet week?
No final questions.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, everybody here. Really appreciate everybody who's a part of BAM. I can't wait to see so many of you guys next week at BAM Camp. And we'll still have the hot sheet every single day. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great weekend. Be very productive. Until we talk on Monday, toodaloo.